guys, my name is Marley. Welcome to my reading blog. Today is a very exciting day. I have this package from Indigo that we're going to open up. It is a book, spoiler alert. So let's do that. Oh my gosh, it is beautiful. As beautiful as a thriller book can be. So this is The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. Riley Sager is one of my favorite thriller authors, as I've said before, and this is his newest release, and I'm going to be doing a spoiler-filled reading blog for this book. Occasionally I like to do videos like this for my highly anticipated releases. So yeah, I'm going to be reading this in a couple days. I just need to finish my current book, and then I'm very excited to hop into this. If you guys don't know, basically the premise is that we're following a Hollywood star who needs to get out of the city for a little bit, and so she goes to this like cabin on a lake, and then it's kind of like The Woman in the Window, where she watches her neighbors across the lake a lot, and eventually I think the woman goes missing, and then our main character is trying to figure out what happened and is like an unreliable narrator, of course. I love the yellow. It's very fun. I love the smell of new books. It might be a little bit spoilery to say, but I've heard there's a little bit of paranormal aspects in this book. Whether it makes you think that it's paranormal or whether it actually is, I'm not sure. People have said out of all of his books, it is most similar to Home Before Dark, which is my favorite Riley Sager book. So I've been really excited to read this. I have seen a few low ratings recently as people are starting to read this, so I'm a little bit worried about that, but a lot of people didn't like Survive the Night, his release from last year, and I still liked it. So feeling pretty good. I will be back once I actually start the book and we can start the vlog.
Living life, every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days. Fuck me, I'm looking in the mirror, so foggy, but I've never seen clearer. I don't really think anyone can save me, and honestly, I'm not really sure I want saving.
So it's been a while since I filmed a vlog, I feel like I'm a little rusty at it. I was watching Stranger Things last night. I should have vlogged it. I finished season 4. Did I love the ending? Not overly. Like, I'm happy my favorite character didn't die, but not totally happy with everything. But anyways, I've been reading The House Across the Lake by Riley Sager. I am about 70 pages in, and immediately I am already loving it, like I knew that I would. I'm very much liking the spooky paranormal vibes, which I think I guess he kind of has that vibe in all of his books, but especially in Home Before Dark, which was my favorite one. So I really like that this is having those same feelings as that one did, because I genuinely think it is going to be paranormal from what I've heard, and I like that because I don't read a lot of paranormal thriller books. But basically we are following our main character, Casey, who is an actress, and we had this chapter that really was just her explaining her whole life for us, really breaking it down. Essentially, she's the daughter of this really famous Broadway actress, and that kind of led her to also be into acting. It's sort of a cliche, but growing up in New York, it's like a troubled teen. She also got into like drugs and drinking and stuff like that when she was younger, but she did eventually meet this guy named Len, who was her husband, and hearing about their relationship, they seemed like they were really cute, but he died. And so now she is dealing with that grief and just really drinking a lot, clearly probably an alcoholic. And the way that Len died was drowning at this lake that her family owns, on this lake that only has like a few houses. They're all very rich people that live there, so that's definitely suspicious that he died at the lake. I definitely think there's going to be something more to it, because so far it's just kind of mysterious, where he went out fishing early in the morning and then drowned, and so we don't know how he drowned. Casey wasn't really interested in hearing about how he died. She just knew that he died and she's upset about it, but I feel like there's gonna be something more to his death. I should mention we also are having a before and after timeline, which Riley Sager typically always does in his books. So the like current timeline, we see that Casey has taken this man hostage that lives on the lake because she thinks he killed his wife, so she's trying to like get him to admit what happened to his wife. But in the before chapters, she is interacting with this married couple. She actually saved the wife from drowning. So this was a really weird thing to me. She sees this woman that she thinks has drowned and saves her. It seems like this woman is dead, and then kind of miraculously she comes back to life, or like becomes conscious again. There's definitely something weird going on there, and my main theory immediately was that the woman actually did die and that Casey was just going to be like seeing her ghost for the rest of the book, kind of like the Sixth Sense movie, where you don't know that the character is a ghost. That's what I thought was going to happen. So I'm like trying to pay attention to if that woman interacts with anyone else, but she is interacting with other people, so I don't think that's what it's going to be. But there's definitely something weird about drownings happening in the lake. That is going to be like the main thing, because then as she's talking to one of her other neighbors, we hear that there's been multiple drownings in the past, these other women. So that's obviously the main theme. I think it's like a haunted lake or something. And then we just had a chapter where her one neighbor is talking more about this concept of like spirits getting trapped in lakes, because lakes are kind of like, or bodies of water are kind of like mirrors, right? It's like a reflection, and there's all this lore around ghosts getting trapped in reflections. So there's definitely something going on there. They also just said that there's like possession that can happen. So I think that girl did really die on the lake and now is possessed potentially by a ghost. But that's pretty obvious. I feel like the fact that they mentioned possession, like that's a pretty obvious thing. So hopefully the twists aren't predictable in this. I'm definitely intrigued by all these different paranormal things happening, just because, as I said, I don't really read thrillers like that. Another thing I would say, like, trigger or content warnings if you suffer from alcoholism at all, because the way this character talks, like she loves alcohol, and the way she's describing it, I don't know, I feel like if you struggle with addiction, maybe it would be like triggering for you. So yeah, that was not really a spoilery update because I'm not that far into it, but just a reminder, I will be spoiling it.
I like to be my own worst enemy. There's no risk if you don't try at anything, so I'ma just keep buying everything. See you in the next life, have to be a better me.
Okay, so these spooky paranormal vibes have taken a break from the book. I'm like, how far? 130 pages in now. It's very much giving Woman in the Window right now, because Casey was watching the house that Catherine and Tom live in across the lake, and she saw them have a fight. It got a little bit physical. In the morning, she hears a scream. Catherine seems to be missing. She talks to Tom. He's very suspicious, saying that Catherine has left and gone back to their apartment in New York, but things aren't really adding up. It's very much just looking like the husband did it. He's very suspicious. Catherine posted a photo on Instagram, and Casey can basically tell that it looks like the husband posted it pretending to be her, pretending that she's back in New York, but whatever. There's all these things happening that are seeming like the husband did it. And honestly, I can't really see any other thing that it could be. Like, it really does seem like it's him, like it's very cut and dry. She even talks to the neighbor, who I don't think I mentioned, but there's this guy that's staying at one of the houses next to her. He doesn't own the place, but he's just kind of staying there. What was his name? Boone. He also heard the scream, so now she kind of has like a buddy to investigate with and figure out what happened to Catherine. I was having a little bit of a theory, but now I don't know if it's going to be true or not. But basically, Boone, we found out his wife has recently died as well, so I was wondering if his wife was one of the women that drowned in the lake in a previous summer, and that maybe that was his connection to the lake, and he was maybe trying to investigate that. And then I thought maybe his wife is the one that like possessed Catherine when I was talking about the whole paranormal stuff. But now Boone just said that his wife fell down the stairs, so unless that's a lie, I don't think that's gonna be a connection. But as I said, all the paranormal stuff is not really a focus right now, so it's really just seeming like a very kind of basic domestic thriller similar to The Woman in the Window. So we'll see where it goes from here, but yeah. Okay, things are progressing. So basically they have gotten a detective involved, but she is telling them like, you can't really do anything, like whatever. Our main character, classic stupid main character move, decides to break into Tom's house to find evidence that he did something to Catherine. Of course, she finds a lot of suspicious things, like all of Catherine's belongings are still there, things that she would have taken with her if she left voluntarily. She also goes through their laptop search results or search history, and there's a lot of interesting stuff there. Something that I found intriguing was that they had researched Casey, they had researched, I think, the play that she was in, and they had also researched this man who killed his wife by poisoning her, and he was inspired by the play Casey was in where that same thing happened. So Casey was saying that maybe Tom did that to Catherine, and that's why she was feeling ill, and that's why she almost drowned, because she was slowly being poisoned, which I thought made sense, and that was very scary. But yeah, it's seeming like it's very obvious that Tom is guilty, so I'm definitely curious to see like what the twist is gonna be in this, because it just seems so straightforward. Then the detective also reveals to them that they are suspecting Tom of those other murders of the missing girls, because he has been in town during those times, so they're investigating that as well. Then there's like a typical romance going on between our main character and Boone. I actually like Boone. I really don't suspect him of any foul play. The only other thing that I think could be interesting is if their other neighbor, I forget his name now, but he's just kind of like an old man that has always lived there. I think it would be interesting if he was involved, because he's kind of like the character that no one is really considering. Like they think he just knows nothing about what's going on. So it'd be interesting if he actually was involved in some way. But we also saw another current day, like now chapter, where Casey has Tom kidnapped, and he did admit to killing those girls. So I don't know, as I said, it seems like very straightforward that this man is evil, and they're just all kind of putting it together, and I'm just curious of like what twist is going to happen. But I am enjoying it. Riley Sager's writing is very like simple. It's super simple and easy to read. At some points I think it's a little bit cringy. I think it's just because it's written in such a like direct, simple way, but sometimes the main character is definitely annoying and dumb, because as I said, characters always go get evidence illegally by breaking in, and it's like a well-known thing. You cannot use that evidence if you get it by stealing it. I feel like everyone knows that at this point, so it's always annoying when characters do that. But yeah, this is kind of gonna be like a 24-hour vlog, I think, because I am 200 pages in, and I think I have only like 100 and something left, so maybe I'll finish tonight. Stay tuned.
I don't think that my head's on straight. Gotta flip it and grip it and go and get an x-ray. What's wrong with me? I just feel weight pushing on my chest and it squeezes till I suffocate.
So I know literally in my last update I said, oh, I like Boone, I really don't suspect him of being involved at all. Like, why am I so dumb? Sometimes I literally just let thrillers manipulate me and let the authors manipulate me. Basically, Casey put together that Boone actually did know Catherine more than he let on. They actually were having a bit of an affair. Duh, like, should have seen that coming. So obviously that makes him a suspect for her murder, especially if she was like not willing to leave her husband for him and stuff like that. And obviously the fact that his wife died as well makes him suspicious, and apparently he was under investigation for the wife's death whenever it happened, so very suspicious actually. And then we also, during the like present day flash forwards where Casey has a man that she's like interrogating, I was assuming that that was Tom, because she was like asking him where is Catherine, all that stuff. But then I realized he was actually never named as Tom. She's just saying he, so it could be any man. So right now it's making you think that it's Boone, because he's like the current focus. But I'm not gonna let this trick me again. I'm gonna go back to what I mentioned before, which is Eli, who is the old man that's also living on the lake and is like always there. I feel like we haven't really focused on him yet, so maybe he actually is behind all of the girl's death and stuff like that, since he is just always at the lake, and I feel like he would know what's going on at the lake. So he could be the man that she's investigating, maybe, or he's like more involved. Yeah, so it's not as predictable or like as straightforward as I thought, but also it's like, okay, I should have probably put some of this together myself. But yeah, basically now Casey is alone in her investigating again, because she can't really trust anyone.
Better change my mindset, meditate. It's pretty cool that I'm alive and have better days. I could walk, see, hear, I should celebrate. Think I could change my mind, maybe elevate. Living life, every day, late at night, not okay. All I want, and I pray, all I need are some better days.
Okay, I am pleased by this twist. I am pleased. So Casey found Catherine in the empty house on the lake where Tom was keeping her kidnapped. And this part has just been so good, because we find out that Catherine is possessed. it's like, it could be that there's something mentally wrong with her, like she thinks she's possessed or something. But it's what I predicted, that when she was in the water and almost drowned or whatever, she got possessed. But the spirit that possessed her is Len, which was Casey's husband. So that is a little twist that I did not expect. And then he is saying that like Casey killed him, which makes sense because I knew there was something else going on there. And then Casey just said, and then we see that the current day chapters were her talking to Len in Catherine's body. So that's the he that I mentioned that she's talking to. He also killed those girls. He killed them. And I guess Casey found that out before, and that must be why she killed him. And now I guess he is back possessing Catherine to get revenge. I think this is good. I think this was like a very good plot twist. Like I was not expecting all of this. So I'm gonna keep reading, but I feel like this is like that was the major twist. That was a major reveal. And I like it personally. I think it's fun. I'm gonna keep reading. Maybe there's more twists to come as well, but for right now, I like this.
Yeah, all I need are some better days, 'cause all I want, and I pray, I believe in the better days.
Hey, it's the next day, obviously. I did finish the book last night though, and I loved it. Obviously, I had such a good time reading this. I read this in one day. I will admit, after the big plot twist happened that I last checked in for, I do feel like my interest went down a little bit just because I was like, okay, I know what the twist is, but then it became sort of like action-based where they had to figure out how to defeat Len and get him out of Catherine's body without killing Catherine, obviously, because we found out she was still there in her body as well. Casey also had to find out how to get out of Len the location for where those missing girls were that he had killed, because it was very interesting learning that the reason Casey drank so much wasn't from what we originally thought, which was the grief of losing her husband, but it was actually the guilt of there not being closure for the families of those missing girls and for the police who were still investigating their deaths. If she would have just went to the police when she found out Len was the murderer, then that could have all been resolved, but instead she was selfish in that moment and didn't want the backlash to affect her and her career. She didn't want people associating her with her murderous husband, so instead she killed him herself so no one would find out. So that is why she's been so upset this whole time. So they come up with, you know, a little plan to get that information from Len, and then in a great turn of events, Casey decides to sacrifice herself, which I really liked that for her. I feel like, you know, it really redeemed her as a character. It showed how bad she felt about what she had done, and she, for some reason, it was kind of weird, but Len could like go into other people if he got close enough to them. So she was able to kiss Catherine and like take Len's like spirit into her. It did get a little weird at that point. It's like a little bit like, what is going on with this in a supernatural sense? But yeah, so she takes him in her, so Catherine's safe, and then she plans to drown herself with Len in her body so that like he'll go back into the lake, and then she'll also die. And then it was beautiful because Catherine actually saves her from drowning. It was like a parallel to the very beginning of the book when she saved Catherine from drowning. So I do feel like that friendship was very beautiful in the book. And so Len got killed, but then she still was saved. And then whatever, you know, it starts to resolve. They figure out what they're gonna tell everyone, what their sort of plan is. And then something was bugging me. Like there was one thing that wasn't resolved, and that was, why did Catherine drown in the first place? She said she was feeling weak, feeling not well. I was waiting, I'm like, that still needs to be talked about. Are they gonna come back to that? And of course, in typical Riley Sager fashion, he has a end of the book plot twist, which I always love because it leaves you kind of reeling at the end. I love when any thrillers do that and have sort of like a double plot twist, which is that Tom actually was still trying to kill Catherine. So that was a pretty intense scene as well. Tom attacks Casey actually because she figured it out, and there's this whole battle in the water, and then Tom dies, and then Len goes into Tom's body, and then Casey kills him again. So love that. But then it's interesting because Len is still in that lake, and it just sort of ends that Casey is always going to keep an eye on a lake and basically it's gonna be her job, I guess, to keep him in there. And then Boone did end up being the nice guy that I thought he was, and they did sort of end up together in a romantic sense. So I'm giving this 5 stars. I have seen a few negative or middle of the road reviews. I guess that's if people just don't like the paranormal direction that this took, because it is quite weird. It is quite a weird twist and weird. It's a weird thing that's going on here for sure, but I think it was cool. I think all of Riley's books kind of tease that it's going to be paranormal, and it never is. So it's cool that this one actually did go that direction. I feel like now going forward with all of his books, it will be a question of like, is he gonna go for the paranormal or is he not? Because we know that he'll do both. Yeah, I give it 5 stars. I think all the twists were really great. Just towards the end, it was a little predictable that Tom really was trying to kill his wife, but otherwise, I feel like I was pretty surprised by everything. I am glad that Eli was a good guy at the end. I know I was suspecting him, but that's because I didn't know of any other men on the lake. So I think he did a good job of making you think it was one thing and then going in a totally different direction. So that's the end of this vlog, this kind of 24-hour reading vlog. Let me know your thoughts on the book, if you liked it or not, especially what you thought of him going in this like supernatural direction. And please subscribe if you're not already for future bookish content and reading vlogs, and I will see you next time. Bye.